Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
I tried to fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Welcome to Blah, a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
He still is.
I'm still Rusty.
Rusty, we are in season 2, episode 17, Hank's Dirty Laundry.
Hank's Dirty Laundry.
This is a pretty fun episode.
Yeah, this is a really good episode. I like this one a lot. Absolutely.
It shows a different side of some of the characters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It gives us a little bit of insight on Bill, Hank, Bobby.
Yes, it's a really good episode. This one's
Rusty
really funny.
gets to go nuts.
A lot of weird stuff going on.
You know, it's. But anyway, let's get into it, and we'll get to all of it.
Okay, so first off, I want to start off with the amount of voice actors that are in this one. So
Great.
you have a couple of characters in the show. Melinda, she becomes a recurring character, and she's voiced by a woman named Marissa Jarrett Winokur.
Melinda's the one at Strickland that's entering the stuff in the computer, right?
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
Gotcha.
And she's done Hairspray. She actually got a Tony in a Broadway musical, the musical on Broadway.
Yeah.
And,
John Waters thing, right?
Yeah, John Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And she also worked on Pamela Anderson's sitcom called Stacked. Never heard of that.
Anderson's sitcom.
Yeah, never heard of that one.
Sounds great.
And then like her other TV credits are Curb Your Enthusiasm, Moesha, The Steve Harvey Show, Just Shoot Me, Felicity, Norman
It's good
Gregg.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so good shows, all good stuff. So
Just Shoot Me was a good show.
That's Melinda. And
Yeah.
we do see Melinda again. She is a recurring character. She pops up in quite a few episodes, over 10 episodes. So she pops up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Then you have the next one is Matt, the telemarketer for consenting adults.
Yeah.
So he's actually kind of cool because this guy he plays in Office Space and he plays in Idiocracy.
Really? He was in
David
Office
Herman.
Space.
Yeah, David Herman. He was also an original cast member on MTV, Mad TV,
Oh, yeah.
from 95 to 97. So he's done.
Oh yeah, David Herman is
Yeah, he's a known, pretty known
he's,
comedian. He does a really good his impressions because I remember him from Mad TV because I used to love Mad TV.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he does a really good impression of like Tim Allen. He does a really good Tim Allen impression, and then Tom Hanks is Forrest Gump. He does
was
Tom
Michael
Hanks.
Bolton, and he had that name before.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
ass
yeah,
clown
yeah.
Michael Bolton had.
Yeah. And he does a really good Tom Hanks one, but only from Forrest Gump and then from his character in Apollo 13. Those are the only two voices he does for Tom Hanks, but he does them really good.
Gotcha.
And then the next one is the small claims judge is voiced by a woman named Lynn Thigpen.
Okay.
And her actual longest, the stuff that she was involved in the most, she did a bunch of one-off stuff on TV, like in the 80s.
Now wait, this is who did what?
This is the
voice?
small claims court.
Oh, the judge.
The judge,
Gotcha.
So she did some stuff in the 80s. Lou Grant, Love Sidney, Give Me a Break. I don't know any of these shows. The Equalizer, Frank's
Lou Grant
Place.
was a spinoff of the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know any of those, but she had like bit parts and stuff. But her major like role was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? She played the chief on that. And
Okay.
She did.
Oh, yeah.
Over
I know exactly who you're talking about.
300
now. Yeah.
episodes in Where in the World, and then she
Yeah.
did like 115 in Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, because they had two different shows they did.
What was the name of that group that did the theme?
Oh, damn.
Rockapella.
Oh, Rockapella. I don't know. I don't remember that. And then I saved the best, what I consider the best for last, as far as like a super recognizable voice in all of the cartoons that I watched as a kid. Billy West, the one and only Billy West.
Billy West, that is a Bender,
Doug Funny,
right?
Yeah,
And
he
Bender
actually,
and all that?
yeah, he does everything for that. But my first run in with him is he did Doug Funny and Roger Klotz in TV show Doug.
And who was he on this?
In this one, he is the clerk
Oh,
at the
okay, the
Arlen
video
video
store
store.
clerk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
gotcha.
video store guy, and of course he does everything. Dexter's
This,
Lab, Cow and Chicken.
This episode is near and dear to my heart because I grew up working in video stores.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
I used
that.
to own 3 little video stores right
Okay.
before video stores became not a thing. And so it brings back some memories, and I'll get to them as we go here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this starts off beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, one of those great cinematic scenes.
Beautiful.
And again, the hats off to the animation director
Yeah.
on this one.
This has got some great stuff in it.
Yeah, this is Sean Cashman, and his major direction stuff that he did was Billy and Mandy.
Okay.
The Grim Adventures. That was like his big, and that's
Yeah.
got a lot of good cinematic
That's a
direction.
very
in it, too.
stylized cartoon.
Yeah. So that was that's his episode. Is this? He's the one that directed all this
So,
beautiful animation.
We start off with butterflies going
Birds
by,
chirping,
and doves coming through, and Hank is just driving down the street, and life is good, and the world is right, and
Slice of life.
He is singing.
You've seen a good
or
slice of
he's
life.
humming "America the Beautiful," the whole time. He passes Dale. Dale holds up his metal detector and kind of waves at him. He passes Bill. Bill gives him that arm where you pull down, like for the truckers to honk.
Yeah,
honk.
the trucker honk.
He honks, and Bill just giggles. He pulls up into his house, and he sees Peggy, and she's out there putting laundry up.
Yeah,
and
it's just a very picturesque scene.
Oh, it's super Americana, right?
Yeah.
And she's just sniffing the laundry
it's like
because it
the
smells
50s
so
if the
good.
50s were in the 90s.
Yeah. And but there's trouble afoot. Hank sees that his boxers are hanging up there.
And this is ridiculous. I've never seen anybody dive at their underwear hanging off the line. Now they know I wear these.
No.
Well, what do you think? Do you think that like if they don't see your underwear, do you think that people just walk around and think you're free balling?
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
Peggy has to apologize because he now knows that the whole neighborhood knows he wears boxers. She says, "I'm sorry, Hank, the dryer broke again. It's actually moistening our clothes now," which I think is a great line.
yeah, that is a great line. That's kind of gross.
It is. He says, "We'll buy a new dryer. Just help me get the rest of these down." And as he's pulling them down, he sees Luann standing behind in her pink bra and panties with clothespins in her mouth. When you talk about a dryer moistening your clothes, my wife and I, we bought a dryer probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that. But it's got that setting where it like does steam. It's supposed to take wrinkles out.
You got a way higher tech one than I have.
Well, it's
I have
supposed
$190 or what is it, like a $200 High Point.
Yeah.
All it does, or actually no, that's my washer. My dryer is a dryer that I bought for like $60 5 years ago.
Sure.
And it was bought probably for $50, 8 years prior
Sure,
to that.
yeah.
Because it's like
I've
it's
had a
like
lot
an
of
old
those.
model.
Yeah,
It's
I've
a
had a
really
lot of
old
those.
model. But it
This-
works great. Like it is really an efficient dryer as long as you have a pair of needle nose pliers to turn it on.
I've had one of those too. This one has a 15-minute and a 20-minute setting where it'll put steam in your clothes and take the wrinkles out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
However, I will say, and the only reason I bring this up is the moistening your clothes and stuff. The one thing I want a dryer to do is what?
Dry.
I want it to dry things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
My
whole key.
dryer is so freaking smart that it's stupid that it gets to a point and it never dries everything all the way. Like it thinks, okay, everything's good and dry, and then it just shuts off. Like
Because
even
it's
if
all
the
got those
timer's still
high-tech
on.
sensors, right, yeah.
It sucks. It's terrible. Anyway, now we are at the Megalomart because they are going to buy a new dryer.
They're gonna buy a new dryer, yeah.
Bobby is sitting on the floor looking into a dryer and
or they're gonna lease to own a new dryer.
Are they?
Well, they go and do the credit thing. Why would you do a credit check? If you're going to
well,
pay cash, Hank Hill, in
they're
my
only-
mind, is a cash man. So
He-
this changes my perspective of Hank.
He is, but they kind of explain that. It's the 10% and the Chuck Mangione thing.
Yeah, I mean it's the department store gimmick of
Sure.
hey, all these great
Yeah.
things. Just go ahead and
10%.
10%, 12% interest.
Bobby is staring into one of these dryers and he says, let's buy this one. It's like watching TV, only the show is about wet clothes.
That's the most underrated joke on this
It's a
episode.
really
I
good
think.
joke,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
really good one.
The guy greets them and asks if they have any questions. And Hank, of course, he does. He says, could you tell me the difference between an electric dryer and a propane dryer? And all he's doing is setting up this salesman so
That's
he can
it. That's
tell
all
him
he's
all
doing.
about propane.
Yeah.
And so the guy says, well, propane dryer costs a little more. And he's, well, at first. But what you factor in, the cost of ownership, propane comes out on top. Let me run you through the number. He just goes on and on and on.
Oh,
and
he's
tells
about
this
to break
guy
it
about
down.
everything.
Like he's about to give him all of the correct propane math. Don't ever disgrace propane. Yeah,
Now-
he's got that. That's what I like about Hank is anytime anybody says anything that is remotely negative towards propane,
Oh, yeah.
he's got a retort for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
He's ready.
Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this entire episode is
Yeah.
Buckley at the door being a greeter. Buckley is just standing there, and as people walk in, he's kind of like the Walmart greeter, but he's Megalomart, so he's got the red vest, and he says, hey.
Yeah, I like the
Hey.
line too because she asks him, Luann asks him, when did you get promoted to greeter? And he goes, yester. Hey, day. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really good. And then we go back to them talking to the salesman, and Hank is still going on. He's telling him about electric rates, and you'll be glad you did. He gave him a card. And Peggy has had enough. She just wants to take the spin more, please. And that is a reference to Sears brands being a Kenmore.
Kenmore. Yeah.
This is a spin more.
A spin more.
And then the salesman asked if they'd be interested in applying for a Megalo card. And Hank, of course, is no. Thinks all I need, the last thing I need is another credit card. I've already got one.
I like how Walmart, it's like Sears and Walmart combined, the Megalomart. Because
Yeah, it really
there's
is.
no greeter at
Yeah.
Sears saying, hey.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like Walmart and Sears.
Oh,
like,
sure.
It's like every department store you can think of combined.
I have been watching these videos on YouTube by this guy, and I'm going to call him out because I like the way he does stuff. He uses a lot of stock footage and stock photos and things in his videos, but he uses them to make a point. The channel is called Company Man,
Okay.
and all he does is talk about brands and places and stuff, and either how they failed or how they succeeded or how they came to be or whatever. But he did a really good one on Woolworths and one on Kmart, and talking about how they were like the biggest thing in the
Yeah,
world,
huge.
and then they just plummeted,
When Walmart popped up, yeah.
Right. Well, it was Walmart and
Because Walmart had a huge
more
boom in
thing.
like the 90s and it kicked out everybody.
yeah, but anyway. If you get time, go watch Company Man's channel.
I'll have to check it out
on YouTube.
There's
Yeah, he's
also a
got
good
really stuff.
documentary on how Walmart killed because first Walmart
Kill small business. yeah.
Well, at first it like killed small business,
Yeah.
and then right after that, because they killed small business through like the 80s, and then right after that they killed off like major department stores. They started killing
The
too.
problem with Walmart was they would come into these small towns, build one big store, kill all the small business, and then if they weren't doing enough business, they would shut down and kill the whole small town.
Kill the whole
town,
small
you know?
town. Yeah.
So anyway, he says, I don't need another credit card. I've already got the one. Peggy says, wait, hold on. No money down, no interest for 6 months, and 10% off our first purchase.
Yeah, and
10%
then-
is nothing.
10% off your first purchase, and then
Yeah.
you pay that
Yeah.
10%
It's
back
nothing.
times 40
If
or
you
whatever
don't pay
many
for it in
payments you
6
make.
months, you're paying 40% on this stuff.
Yeah, easy.
But Hank, to him, he's like, 10% off. Well,
Yeah.
Chuck Mangione supports it,
And
and
then
his
an-
diet shakes
And then,
did okay by
see,
me.
this is two things. This is
Again,
like two or three things in the same episode.
It caught me the same way. Diet shakes and Hank don't go
yeah.
together.
Diet
Yeah.
Shakes and Hank credit. Like I just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I see Hank as having great established credit.
Oh, yeah.
but I
He's
don't
got
see
perfect
him
credit, he
as
says.
using the credit.
Mhm.
It's just there.
Well, it had been a while since I watched this one, and the first thing that came to my mind is this was going to be about the fact that Hank didn't have credit because he never uses credit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you don't use credit, you don't have any credit. You can't get.
I would have
credit,
never
you know,
had
so
credit
2020.
myself personally if it went for student loans. That was like
Yeah.
my first line of credit was
Yeah.
loans for.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still there's one of them that says I've paid negative 15% of my loan off.
Lovely.
even though I've been
okay.
paying on it for a decade. But
All
okay.
So now we're over in the food court at the Megalomart, and Bobby walks up to Luann and Buckley.
Yep.
And he says, "Hey, Luann." She says, "Hi, Bobby." He says, "Hey, Buckley." Buckley literally looks at him and doesn't answer.
Just turns his head and then turns it back.
But Luann says he's on break. That's just a great joke.
It is.
He
It's a
doesn't
really
want to
good
greet
joke.
anybody because he's on on break.
Well, not only that, it reminds me of being on break when I used to work at a factory, and you'd have your boss walk up to you while you're on break and
Yeah.
start to try to talk to you about
Oh,
work,
no.
and you were
Mm-mm.
like,
"No thanks."
man, come on, man, give me like 15 minutes, like my break. I just don't want to think about anything.
Yeah, I remember working at Sears, and I had to wear one of those red vests, because I worked
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
hardware
yeah.
department. I started by selling paint. I really worked my way up to sell wrenches. But
Those wrenches are expensive.
I would, Sears really screwed up with that. They used to have that Craftsman brand, and that was the
Yep.
only place you could get it. And then they said, "Oh, well, screw that. We're going to have it sold to other places." And then
They went out of business.
Sears wasn't a thing.
That's the only place you could get it.
They could have literally just been a hardware store,
That's
and they
it.
would have been
Sold
fine.
Craftsman, yeah.
Anyway, she explains that he's on break. She says, "Where's Uncle Hank and Aunt Peggy?" He says, "Oh, I thought I'd give them some time alone so they could, And it's real suggestive.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
suggestive. Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" He goes,
'Cause
"Oh,
you know.
And then he says, "Buy me a birthday present. That's why we're here, isn't it?" She says, "I don't think
think so.
Your birthday's still not until next month."
yeah.
He says, "Well, think about it, Luann. Why would you bring a child to a department store to buy a dryer when his birthday is 3.5 weeks away? It just
This
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
sense."
sense.
They're watching me, trying to get into my head, see what I really want in a present.
No, I'm
She
pretty
said-
sure we're just buying a dryer.
She
Yeah.
said, "No, I'm pretty sure you're buying." He said, "Okay, Luann, when Mom and Dad are done buying a dryer, quote unquote, tell them I'm over by the dirt bikes holding a Toblerone."
Yeah, but like I say, he goes, tell him I'm over by the dirt bikes holding a Toblerone. He says it real slow and
It's really fantastic.
suggestive. Yeah.
And then I guess Buckley's break is over because he says hey to somebody. So that's how we get through Buckley's break. I just love that little interaction of Buckley being a greeter.
Yeah, that's funny.
We
Yeah,
are
that's a good
back at the sales counter. It is counter number 12. It says instant credit up over the thing, and we've got a whole bunch of people waiting in line. The salesman is tapping away on the computer. He says, "Okay, Mr. Hill, your credit has been rejected." Hank's like, "Whoa." He says, "Well, the computer doesn't say. I'm sorry, next," which is super rude, number one. Maybe they got a way to pay.
He didn't even ask if they got any other way to
He's just
pay
like,
at all.
"Next."
He's just like, nah, next. Yeah,
He
you're
says,
out of
"Hold
luck,
on."
buddy.
He says, "Hold on a minute. You made a mistake. I have perfect
credit.
Yeah, he says, "I think I would recognize a frowny face when I see one, Mr. Hill."
And he
turns
flicks
it
the
around
deal and clicks on and points at it.
Literally
Yeah.
says Hank Hill real big and a frowny
And a frowny face, yeah.
And Peggy's standing there, and all she wants is a dryer. "Hank, why don't we just pay with a check?" The guy says, "Sorry, we can't take checks
It's
from people with bad credit." Yeah,
Which they can.
it's just nuts.
You can have bad credit and still have money.
And
in
then
the
you
bank.
hear a bicycle bell ding, and you see Bobby drive by. He's on a bicycle with a one of those ping pong ball air guns.
Yeah, I'm
He's
having
like,
the time of my
having
life.
the time of my life,
And it's on sale.
So next thing we see, we're at Strickland Propane,
And this is where we meet Melinda.
this is Melinda
Yep.
and Hank. They are sitting there, and Melinda's typing away at the computer. And he says, "Thanks for trying, Melinda, but I'm pretty sure you can't just look up my credit unless I send some permission letter to my credit bureau." She said, "No,
No, it's a piece of cake. All you need is a $10 processing
$10
fee.
processing.
And then
Here comes
Strickland,
Buck.
I'll
Yeah.
just deduct that from your paycheck.
From your paycheck."
Yeah, from your paycheck.
He said, "Oh, Mr. Strickland, I was just in," and Melinda, of course, tells him he's got bad credit. And Strickland, in his only appearance in this episode, says, "Well, there's the rat hair in your tuna.
Uh-huh.
Seems like you're in a whole $40 to Island Video." He said, "What?" So that is the only time we see Buck Strickland. We're now at Arlen Video. We've got Hank, Peggy, and then Bobby and Luann are over just browsing at the tapes. The Arlen, you've got Hank kind of giving it to the guy at Arlen Video. He says, "It says I owe $40 and that can't be true."
Always bring back my
Always
tapes.
bring them back.
Yeah,
on
look
time.
for yourself. I've returned the Great Santini 23 times.
Now, Great Santini. You ever seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. I know
Robert
who's in
Duvall.
it. I know it's a Robert Duvall,
Yeah.
Michael O'Keefe, or whatever.
I bet I've
but,
seen that movie 10 times.
I've never seen it. Is it a good movie?
Very good movie, 1979.
Is it like a action?
It is a drama.
Okay, a drama.
Santini, Robert Duvall, is a guy that's been in the military forever, and it's about his son never really living up to the standards that he keeps for him.
Oh, okay.
and it's that father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
Really good movie. Really good
Yeah,
movie.
I have to check that out.
Now, I will tell you, behind the clerk at the Arlen Video, there are 3 posters that I could see. One says Dark Fist,
Okay, Dark
which
Fist.
that's a great movie.
Yeah,
I hear. One just says Love Happy.
Love
which-
Happy.
that's a
Sounds
good
like an
one.
Adam Sandler movie.
Love Happy. And then the other one says Kung Foot. Now, it is basically, do you remember the Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley?
I do remember that movie.
It's
yeah.
that poster. It's basically that poster, but
yeah.
it says Kung Foot
Okay.
over it. Yeah. The video clerk says, okay, Hank Hill, June 23rd. Yeah, you rented and never returned Cuffs and Collars.
Cuffs and Collars.
And Hank is like, I've never even heard of that. Have you? And he turns to Peggy and she says, unless it's got the name Merchant Ivory or Billy Crystal above the title, I am not interested.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
What she loves City Slickers and things about Merchant Ivory. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure
exactly.
what is Merchant Ivory. What does she mean?
I'm assuming it's ivory from like Africa that's been brought over by a ship. I guess. I don't know.
Oh wow. Okay, so here you go.
Okay.
This might be it. I'm gonna guess this is it. So you have a production company founded in 1961 called Merchant Ivory Productions, and some of the actors and producers at that time that were associated with it are Maggie Smith, Hugh Grant, Anthony Hopkins, Glenn Close, Uma
Oh, well,
Thurman.
then maybe she's talking about Merchant Ivory, the production company that makes like those powdered white wig movies and stuff, you know. Like
the movies that they made were The Europeans, The Bostonians,
there you go.
A Room with a View,
There you go.
Maurice, Mr. and Mrs. Bridge, Howard's End, The Remains of the Day, Call Me by Your Name, and they are all Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
Those are all Oscar nominated movies, and not only are they Oscar nominated movies,
They're
like
fancy movies.
Howard's End
Yeah.
was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Oscars. The Remains of the Day, 9 Oscars. They're all nominated for a chunk of stuff. So it's a great movie house.
You really do have the two extremes
Yeah.
then. She's saying Merchant Ivory, which are the fancy Oscar movies, or Billy Crystal.
Billy
above the
Crystal.
title. Yeah.
So she likes comedy or
She likes crappy comedy
Slightly-
or really highbrow movies.
slightly highbrow movies. Yeah.
Bobby is like he's over at the videos with Luann, and he says, "Wait a minute, they're buying me a movie for my birthday. That's why we're here, right?" And Luann's like, "Really, Bobby? They haven't said anything." Hank then asks, "Bobby, you ever heard of a movie called Cuffs and Collars?" And I love Bobby's response. He says, "Ooh, I think that's the one with the 2 cops who don't get along, but then they do, but it's too late because he's dead." But not really.
Yeah, he didn't know what he's talking about.
Hank says, "So you've seen it?" No.
No.
He asks Luann. She says, "Nuh-uh." Then Bobby says, "Oh, no, you're not getting a movie, Bobby. You're so smooth." Talking to Luann like he knows what's happening. We're back at Hank, and he says, "Nope, we didn't rent it. So if you could please erase the $40 and penalize yourself, whatever you think is fair, will be on our way."
Yeah.
The guy says, "I'm sorry, but the computer won't let me erase anything until you either return the tape or pay the $40. Hank is like, "I told you I didn't rent the tape. Now who's calling me a liar, you or the machine? Because I want to know whose ass to kick."
And then the guy goes, "Well, it wasn't me." He goes, "Well, where's the ass on this
And
thing?"
he says,
Yeah.
"Where's the ass on this thing?" Yeah. Peggy, referring to the computer, and Peggy's like, "I just need a dryer, Hank. Just pay for the tape."
Just
He says,
pay for the tape.
"Absolutely not. I'm not paying for somebody else's screw up. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if that tape was sitting on the shelf right now." And he starts walking around the video store, and he's like, "Where would Cuffs and Collars be?
Yeah.
Action adventure, action comedy, action. And the guy from the back says, "Make a left." Hank turns into the adult section.
Yeah, that's the question I have for you now. So when you ran
Yep.
when you ran movie stores, I'm sure there was probably an adult section in your movie store.
So none of my stores had adult sections.
none of
in
them did?
The
Okay.
ones that I grew up working in did not have adult sections in them. However, when I
Okay.
worked for a company in Austin that had probably
Well, let me ask-
25 stores, they did have adult
Okay, well, let me
sections
ask
in
you
them.
this. So is that indicative of the area that we live in, that you didn't have that in the stores that you worked in or owned?
As
or
far
anything?
as I know, okay, this is just
because we do live in a Baylor
we're in the Bible
Baptist,
Belt.
an extremely
We're in the
Southern
Bible Belt,
Baptist
yeah.
town. So
As far as I know, there were only 3 stores here in town that rented adult tapes.
okay,
Now, I've just heard this through the grapevine. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah,
visited
yeah, yeah.
one. But, there were only 3. One was over there next to nobody's going to care about
Nobody's
this,
gonna
but it's
care
over
about
next
it.
to La Fiesta.
Okay.
And then and there were a couple. There was one downtown here, and then one on the outskirts where you had to wear a trench coat if you went in there.
Oh, I know where the one on the outskirts is. It's in Hillsborough area, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about that one,
Well,
the XXX? That's
no,
that,
it was before
that one.
Yeah, it was before that.
Because that one sells
That
everything.
one's relatively new.
Yeah, that's like a sex store. They sell everything.
yeah.
Not just
It's
tapes.
weird whenever you drive by there and you see the cars. The cars are always so different. Like there's a couple of trucks, big rig trucks,
Yeah.
and then there's like a station wagon, and then there's like a Corvette or something. And so you're like, oh, I can peg all the people that are in there, and I don't mean peg. Okay, so anyway, he comes screaming out of the adult section, which of course is just beads.
Whoa, yeah, it's just a bead wall.
I love the fact that it's
Yeah.
just bead curtains.
A bead curtain, not a
and
bead
he
wall.
looks to his right, and who does he see but Nancy and John Redcorn, and they are shaking their heads and going, man, I'm telling you, if you reach a point where Nancy and John Redcorn are shaking their head at you, you got problems.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why they're turning their nose up at Hank while they're, they're in there renting a movie to just have on in the background while
Well,
they
they
have
had
sex.
stacks of movies in their hands, stacks
Yeah.
of them. How long do they spend with each other?
Yeah.
But that is a commercial break, and we will take one here so that you can hear from all of the online adult video stores, and we'll be right back.
Watch us fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
All right, we are back.
Latanya.
Wimatani, indeed. We are back at the Hill House, and this is funny to me how Hank and Peggy are comparing schedules.
Yeah.
Like they both got planners and sheets and papers.
They're trying to cross-reference and everything. They're trying to see,
Yeah.
well, where were you on the day of June 23rd?
He says, how could they think I'd rent a stag film, Peggy? I'm married.
I'm married.
Stag film.
Stag
You've
film.
heard that term before,
I've heard
right?
that term. Well, I've heard stag for sure because
Used to be at bachelor parties.
Yeah,
That's what they called
They still
pornos,
call
yeah.
them in England. They call them Hindus and stag doos.
Really?
So like,
Oh, I get that.
So
Yeah,
so a Hindu
yeah.
would
A
be
Hindu is a
a
ladies.
hen
Yeah.
calling themselves hens. It would be
Yeah.
like the ladies part.
Because they call them birds.
Yeah, birds, and
Sure.
then men's would be a stag do.
Stag do.
A stag do.
She says,
Stag on do or a stag on don't.
she says, I think we should just pay. He says, no, I got to prove my innocence. Now,
$40 to get all this to go away, but because it's porn, he's got to prove his innocence.
I mean, this does.
The $40 saves the money because he had to file for small claims court
I know,
and everything,
I
and
know.
he had to go through waste all the gas driving around.
There's a
all
lot
the
to it.
the emotional,
It's the point of it.
emotional value. I mean,
It's
like
the
all
point
the
of it.
payout emotionally.
I'm kind of on his
Yeah.
side. He says, now, wasn't June 23rd the day I went to my dad's and installed grab bars in his shower? She says, nope.
Nope.
She says, June 23rd, I played Boggle at Nancy's and left you
home
alone.
and then she said it in an accusatory
He's
way.
like, Peggy, you don't think I actually rented? Oh, Hank, I don't care if you did or you didn't. Well, you should care because I didn't. She said, oh, really, Hank? It doesn't matter. He says, it does matter. It is important to me for you to believe me when I say I didn't rent the tape. She says, honey, okay, I believe you. Now I just have one question. Did you rent the tape?
yeah,
says,
did you rent the tape? No.
She's like, all right then. But whatever you did or didn't, I'm still thinking
think
we should just pay.
Yeah, just to get it over with.
It's fantastic. She says, the last thing I want is for people to be talking about this, especially in front of Bobby. And of course, Bobby overhears this from the other room, and he goes in and runs to Luann and says, Luann, it's even better than I thought.
Mom and Dad
are
throwing me a surprise party. Yeah.
Yeah, he's, oh my God.
And then the birds
feels-
chirping and stuff.
Well, it feels like an episode of like Three's Company where everything is a misunderstanding. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. The whole show is just a big
That's all it is.
misunderstanding.
That's
Yeah.
all it is. So now we're back in the alley, and Dale is saying, so
Nancy tells me she ran into John Redcorn at the video store. The two
Ran
of them
into
heard
John
you
Redcorn.
complaining about some porno tape you lost.
And then he
he's
starts laughing. Yeah. Boomhauer says, yeah, man, talk about that dang old cuffs and collars, man. Like when they come over and clean that pool, man, you start going like, waka, 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 waka. He says, quit it. I didn't rent that movie. Bill, for one, says he is glad. He's glad that he's not the only one who is disgusted by pornography.
Which is funny because how he says it is like, I'm glad, yeah. And
he
he's
sounds
like,
he sounds almost like a Southern
like he's
gentleman
trying to
when he's saying
escape
that.
out of it. Yeah. Like he's trying to look for a scapegoat. Like,
He
yeah,
said
I'm
it's
not the only
offensive,
one.
it's demeaning, it creates a standard of idealized beauty that your average man cannot compete with. Which I thought was great. He says,
That's pretty good.
Hank says, don't worry, Bill. I'm not going to let my credit and my good name be done in by a damn computer error.
I like this part right here. Well, Dale goes, computers don't make errors. What they do on purpose. By now, your name and particulars have been fed into every laptop, desktop, mainframe, and supermarket scanner that collectively make up the global information conspiracy, otherwise known as the Beast.
You know what I wrote down here is ominous music. You
Hold
don't
on, let me
get
catch my breath.
you don't get ominous music on this show very often.
No,
But
you
while
don't.
he's talking, you're just because he's talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Beast.
The Beast.
I
I like how he says, he goes, the Beast.
Hank says, and I can remember that Hank didn't say that. I personally can remember being in church as a kid and them talking about the Beast.
Beast.
Yeah, the Beast was always the system, and they're going to put a chip in your hand, and they're going to,
They
do
really
all this
talked
stuff.
about that in
Oh,
church
yeah.
back then?
Oh yeah,
Chips in hands back
oh,
then?
Hell yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We used to have to watch films like where the world was going to end, and the devil's putting chips in your hands and all that stuff.
Are you sure you went to a Baptist church?
I did. At
That's-
this point, I would take a chip in my hand if I didn't have to carry anything with me. Hell
Oh,
yeah, put a
chips?
chip in my hand.
I would like chips in my hand.
I would like some chips in my
Yeah,
hand
some
and
cheesy
my mouth.
Doritos, yeah.
Hank responds with, Dale, I am having a problem with one videotape, not some kind of high-tech boogeyman. I just love the word videotape.
Videotape.
Dale responds with, just be careful. Computers have already beaten the communists at chess, and the next thing you know, they'll be beating humans.
Beating humans. Oh, well, it's funny. Okay, so I was thinking about this on the drive over here. There was an article or something that I read or a video I heard.
Yeah.
But there was a story that just recently came out within the last few weeks of a kid was playing a robot in chess.
Okay.
And the robot broke the kid's hand, grabbed his hand and like broke his hand. So there was
Yikes.
the computer itself didn't know how to. There was no parameters put in for the kid
For human
holding
safety.
on to the piece too long. So when the
Yeah.
kid had moved the piece,
Yeah.
the next move for the robot was to where his piece was at. Well, the robot has to remove his piece because it was a take. It was he was going to take the kid's piece. Well, the kid's hand was still on it, still deciding whether he was going to move that piece there or not. Well, the robot didn't calculate for it and went to grab the piece to move it off the table and grabbed his hand instead and broke it.
Wow. You know, there's a thing out there, and I want to say it was, who's the big sci-fi guy? Who's the one that wrote all the sci-fi? God dang it.
Oh, Isaac Asimov?
Isaac Asimov.
Yeah,
Doesn't he have
okay.
that rule that computers first do no harm kind of thing to humans or
Oh yeah,
whatever?
the law of robotics
yeah,
or whatever it
something
is.
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like
I know what you're talking about.
Rule
They
87
talk
or
a
something,
lot
yeah.
about it in iRobot because iRobot is
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov book. But yeah.
And it's also a vacuum cleaner. We are now back at Strickland Propane. The phone is ringing, and Hank picks it up. Strickland Propane, taste the meat, not the heat. And this is where we meet Matt.
Matt,
He
Billy
says-
West.
He
yeah.
says, "Hello, Hank." He says, "Speaking. How you doing?" It's Matt. He says, "Oh, hey, Matt." And he reaches for his Rolodex.
Yep.
You remember a Rolodex, right?
Yeah, I'm old enough to know what a Rolodex
Yeah.
is, but not old
Never
enough to
used
have
one.
ever used one.
Yeah, they were very handy. He says, "Oh, hey Matt, how you been?" He said, "Pretty good, pretty good." He goes, uh-huh. He said, "So, how's Peggy?" He goes, she's fine. And how's, do I know you? And he says, Hank, if you like cuffed and collars,
You'll
you're gonna
love Rugburn too.
too.
Yeah. And by Rugburn 2, I mean Rugburn also. Rugburn 2 isn't very good.
Yeah. He goes, what? Who is this? He goes, Matt from Consenting Adults, the country's largest supplier of mail order adult entertainment.
And that's great that the company's name is Consenting Adults. I thought
Oh,
that was
yeah.
pretty funny too. I thought that was a good joke.
He said, so how many can I put you down for? He goes, 0. God,
0.
please watch your mouth. This is an interstate
This
phone
is an
line.
interstate phone line. How did you get this number?
He said it's not important. What's important is we have a bigger selection of lower
That's
prices.
hilarious.
than
I've
our
never
video.
heard anybody ever refer to a phone
Interstate
line
phone
as
line.
an interstate phone line. This is an interstate phone line.
So he tells him that they have better selection and lower prices than Arlen Video. He says, what? Arlen Video told you I rent pornography? And then all of a sudden, everybody in the office is around the
Looking
corner
at
watching
Hank,
him.
yeah. Who plays the most hits? Why? 104. Yeah, okay. Crazy
Yeah.
Morning Zoo.
Yeah, he tries to cover it up by saying that he's
Say it's a
talking
crazy morning radio show. yeah.
Y104. Now he hangs up on him, and now we're back in the telemarketer's office, and we just see like the camera pan around and then zoom in on his screen, and it says save document, and he clicks on the word save. That starts a whole thing where you get that dun, 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 dun,
The
dun, dun, dun,
beast.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
So you see the big reel-to-reel
This is the
computers.
beast.
You see scanners. You see guys in lab coats, which I thought was funny. And then you see hundreds and hundreds of labels with Hank's name and his address being printed off. And then you see them loading giant bags of stuff off of an airplane onto a big diesel. And then they start just delivering stuff to Hank's house.
Yeah.
Next,
Which is kind of true and how that works. And I mean,
oh yeah,
even in the email age,
sure.
and even on legitimate websites that you actually like and enjoy and use, once you put your email
Like
on that website,
consentingadults.com.
like Hulu, even Hulu, they
Yeah.
send me like
Oh, yeah.
5 emails a week, and
Oh,
I'm
sure.
like, I send you your money, leave me alone.
We saw you watch this. Maybe you'll enjoy Elephants of the Far East.
Yeah, and
something, yeah.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it though, but a lot of their recommendations they do give end
Yeah.
up being things I do go
get it.
watch.
I
but
completely understand.
man, my
Yeah.
emails are clogged with
Beast-
Hulu, Net.
The
Having the range of services like I have,
Yeah.
you get it's like at
Oh,
least
sure.
10 a day from every service.
Beast knows your brain.
Yeah, the beast.
We are now back at the Hills, and we are at the mailbox, which says The Hills, like gigantically
the Hills
on the side of
huge
it.
on the mailbox,
And
yeah.
it is so full of XXX mail, which it's funny to me because it's all in boxes. Like, what the hell's in all these boxes? Why does he
Tapes.
just get mailed
It's tapes.
stuff?
He's getting
Yeah,
mailed
but
tapes.
When do you get free tapes mailed to your house?
I've never heard of any porn company or anything.
That's
even
what I'm saying.
in that era of
And
sending free
we find
stuff.
out that it's more than just tapes too, but it's so much that it's in the mailbox, it's flowing on the ground.
Well, they know he's got good credit, so they're sending all this free stuff, hoping that he'll.
Yeah, I guess so. We get Bill back at his shame. He says, "Shame on you, Hank Hill. What you do in the privacy of your own home is disgusting enough, but to let it spill out into the streets where my future children will someday play, well,
Well, it's
that is going too
far. And
He says-
future children, you're talking about a 40-plus-year-old
Talking about
man
his sperm.
talking about having future children. A guy who, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's having sex.
He just says, shame. And then he literally goes across
Shame.
the street and goes, shame.
yeah,
He's
stands
still
across the street on the other
saying
side of the
shame.
road. Yeah.
And then Peggy says, I would like the luxury of vomiting on myself right now, but I don't have any clean clothes to change into. Will you just pay the bill so I can get a new dryer?
It's too late.
Dale.
The beast already got him in his jaws. Your only way out is to start life over with a new identity. If you want, I can get you the birth certificate of a child who died in 1953. It's hardly been used.
It's hardly been used.
And he goes, no, I'm not a quitter. And he goes, who's not a quitter? My dead friend Hank Hill or my new friend? And the first reference
Yep.
in the entire series,
Yep.
you wait till season 2 to get one of the most classic references. Or my new friend, Rusty Shackelford. So this is the first instance.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the first time we ever heard
Yeah,
it.
thanks to Artie, he let me know.
And
But
what's-
I already knew since that's a huge part of my personal
That's your nom
identity.
de plume.
Yeah. That's a huge part of my personal identity. So yeah, Rusty Shackelford.
So it is funny to me that the first person that could possibly be Rusty Shackelford was Hank.
Yeah,
You know? I
that
think
is
that's
funny. Yeah.
So Hank is like,
Well, he actually is because he does.
Oh, that's
later
right.
on in the
That's true.
episode.
That's true.
Yeah,
Here in just a
here we go.
couple
We'll get
minutes.
to it. Yeah.
he says, look, just help me get this smut back to the post office. And they are all like picking it up. Bobby comes up on the school bus.
I want to know what male lady or male man would leave
It's so
the
much.
mail like that.
Why
Like
don't
if
you put it
generally
at
if
the
you
door?
have that much,
Yeah.
well, even if you have that much, like. Even if you have that much, generally I feel like 30 packages, you'd have
Yeah.
to go pick that up from the
Oh,
post
yeah, they'd
office.
leave
They
you a
wouldn't.
notice
Yeah,
of
they'd
some
leave you a
kind so
notice
they
like,
could put
"Hey,
some
come get
eyeballs
this."
on you.
Yeah.
Bobby comes up on the school bus. They are in the middle of picking up all this porn, and
Tons of porn. Yeah.
And Peggy just screams, "Bobby, do not get off that bus!"
You couldn't make this episode today though,
Why?
because porn, like
Oh,
physical
because of
porn,
the
doesn't
delivery?
really exist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
physical
guess
porn
you're
doesn't
right.
really exist. The delivery, yeah, but like
Yeah.
physical porn itself,
I guess you're
nobody's
right, yeah.
getting, I mean, toys and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So she screams, "Bobby, do not get off that bus!" And Bobby, of course, still thinking this is all about him, says, "Look at all those cards and gifts. This is going to be the best birthday ever."
Yeah.
So now we're all of them are helping him get all of this smut back to.
Oh, excuse you.
Yes, pardon me.
Ooh,
That'll come
there
out.
we go.
They are all helping him get all this smut back to the post office.
Yep.
One of the boxes is just labeled HOTT with exclamation marks. And they are standing in line at the post office. What surprised me is how busy the post office is. There's so many people
Extremely
there.
busy post office for a
Hank-
small town.
The male person says next, and Hank says, yes, I have these magazines and equipment were delivered to my
yeah.
home. I want you to return to sender and take my name off these mailing lists. She says, nope, post office can't do this. Can't take you off mail lists. You need to call the company you bought your pornography from.
I don't buy pornography. I don't want this.
Take it back.
Yeah,
and then
take
they
it back.
They have a little struggle of pushing the stuff back and forth, this big pile of pornography. And she says, if you want to file a complaint, fill out a form and we'll enter it in the computer.
No,
There's
no
Dale.
forms, no computers. We were never here. Don't feed the beast.
And then we get some old lady, which they don't say what her name is, but she reads his name off the mail, and she says, Mr. Hank Hill, you threw out your mail, son. Don't you want to prolong your love-making pleasure for just pennies a night, Mr. Hank?
Mr. Hank, yeah.
And he interrupts her and says, give me that. Don't you people understand? If I don't fight, someday it could be your name on these plugs. Plugs.
Well, okay, so we went from free porn, and now we're at free butt plugs.
Yeah, now it's plugs.
This is not a reality. This doesn't happen. Nobody's giving out free butt plugs.
It is funny though.
It is. I like it. Well, just hearing Hank, just knowing how uncomfortable Hank is as a human being with underwear
Can you
and
even
anything,
imagine?
and then even
Yeah.
at the beginning scene,
Yeah.
we didn't mention where he moves the blanket out of the way or the sheet or whatever it is, and Luann's standing behind
I
him in her
mentioned that.
bikini.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
did.
And
Okay.
then he covered her back
and
up
then he
with a
covered her
sheet.
back
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Such
He's-
a prude man, and he's got all these sex toys at his house.
He exclaims that he is doing this for all of them.
All of them.
The male person says, do you know this guy? And of course, Boomhauer's there to say, no, daggum way, man, dirty old man hanging around them sex toys, man. Back at my place if you're interested.
Yeah, bag of my money.
He's trying to pick up the mail lady. Hank says, Boomhauer, no, I can't do it without, I can do this without Bill by my side. He brings nothing to the fight, but you. And Dale says, you should have seen this coming, Hank, one by one.
Your friends will desert you. I'll be next.
I'll be next.
So I was looking up.
He's brutally honest.
Where his voice, I think it's William S. Burroughs, is where the influence for his voice is. William S.
really?
Burroughs, and then like some Hunter S. Thompson influence.
I can see Hunter S. Thompson, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, especially with the cigarettes and the glasses.
There was like a Twitter discussion I'd gotten in with somebody.
He actually
I
kinda
don't even
looks
have
like Hunter S.
It was
Thompson.
somebody who didn't like King of the Hill, so I don't remember their
Yeah.
name. But it was just some kind of discussion with them about that, where they were.
I think their username was
talking about
I
it.
don't like King of the Hill.
Yeah, I don't like King of the Hill. Well, there's a lot of people out there that don't
Oh, I'm
like King of the
sure.
Hill.
Yeah, my
I
wife-
make sure to tell them about my podcast every time too.
My wife is one of them.
There's a lot of them out there.
So we are now at the Arlen Municipal Garbage Dump in the county of Heimlich. So it says that on the sign as
Yep,
he drives,
Heimlich.
drives
Yep.
his red truck in there. He says, now, Dale, this stuff about the beast, you made all that up, right? And this is while they are shoveling dirt and dump stuff onto
Yeah.
all these tapes and things. They've got bags, they've got gloves on. I mean, they
and
are
then,
prepared.
And then Dale goes, because like you said, he asked him. He
Yeah.
goes, "Is all the stuff made up about the beast all made up?" And he goes, "Well, of course, you did." "Oh no!" And he goes, "Everything has been foretold in the Book of Revelations." And he looks down. And he goes, "You just stepped in a diaper." And then you hear sirens
Here
going
come the
off.
cops.
And then he goes, "Damn, it's the Vice Squad. They must have followed us." The Vice Squad.
The Vice Squad. And he says, quick, Dale. And he looks around, and Dale is just gone.
Always.
Dale is gone.
And that's why I'm convinced that Dale was like a track, because you don't ever talk about football.
something,
I think he
man.
was a track star in high school, because anytime bad shit is happening, he is the fastest one out of there.
So I want to take a second and refer to the boxes that they were burying.
Okay.
I got the titles from a couple of boxes. Now,
Okay.
a lot of them are laying on top of each other, so you only got part of the title.
Okay.
One of them is XXXX, 4 X's. That's a lot of X's.
It's a lot of X's. That's
Then-
porn to the 10th power.
Then there is one just called Assorted. I don't know what that
Assorted.
is, but it's just assorted.
Maybe it's like a sorted condom pack or something.
And then the next one says, warning, content Sundays.
Warning.
Sundes. Sundays.
Content.
Warning,
Sundays.
content Sundays. I don't know what that means.
And I don't really want to. I don't need that. I don't want that explained to me.
Finally,
whatever that is.
there are 3 more boxes. One of them says H period O period T period. One of them says adults only. and
Heart
then-
of Texas.
Sure. And
There
then
you
one
go.
of them, most of it is covered up, but you can see the word anal. So that's those
okay.
are the boxes that they are burying.
There goes those plugs.
So you see Hank just digging faster and faster, man. He's just trying to get this stuff buried. He wants it gone. The cop says, oh, sir, this is a municipal dump. All garbage must wait a minute. This Super Glide is oil-based. That's a petroleum byproduct. You can't throw that out here. Same with the batteries in your vibrator. Hank says, this is not my it's a wand
It's a wand
massager.
It says so right on the box.
Now, I want to go to the box. The box, I paused it there, and it says personal wand massager. It's got a lady holding it right next to
Yeah.
her neck for
Well,
some
that's how
reason.
they're all advertised. If you go on Amazon, and
Sure.
they're all those are advertised like that.
But here's the catchphrase on it. It says, like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go.
Oh, it says it on the box.
That's what it
Hey, that's a good
says.
pause.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. That's funny.
Like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go. Isn't that great?
that is great.
It's fantastic.
That's awesome, especially since the episode starts off with a butterfly.
Oh, that's true. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, he says, it says so right in the box. The guy says, all right, give me your license. I'm going to run it through the computer. He says, oh, the computer. I don't have my license at the moment, but I can tell you that I was born in 1953 as a
The
child. I
was quite ill,
And he just
takes off running. Yeah.
So he takes off, and the cop starts running after him, and then he squirts something at the cop. which
Whatever, some gross stuff he picked up off the ground or something.
is so, well, no, I think it's one of the cans from the stuff that he had, right?
Oh, he shoots the lube at him.
He's shooting some sort of, but it's
Astroglide. There
but
you
it's,
go.
but it's foamy.
Yeah.
It's like that expanding foam that you use, right? And
Maybe it's anal expanding foam to help anal plugs slide in easier.
or make them stay.
Yeah, or
something.
make them stay. Yeah.
But
Anal adhesive.
all I could catch on the can was Funfa. So it just FUNFU. That's all it. That's all I could catch on.
Fun
the can.
Factory.
Fun Factory.
I don't know.
Funfa. Something. Now we are back at the Hill House in Luann's room, and she's got one of those sliding closet doors. You know, the double door.
Yeah.
One of them slides into the other, and Bobby opens the door and she goes, surprise. And he goes, what? I had no idea. When did you plan this? And he giggles a little bit and says, how was that, Luann? She says, let's try it again. So all they're doing is practicing.
Just
his
practicing him
surprise.
opening the door
Yeah.
and being surprised. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, he's very he's a showman, so he's
He is
got
a showman.
He has to be rehearsed.
But he is not like 1,000 tiny butterflies urging you to let go.
No.
Now we get Peggy driving down the street, and she is singing along to Juice Newton's hit "Queen of Hearts" from
Playing with the
1981.
Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
You know she isn't very smart.
She says, she isn't very smart. I don't think that's a line in the song. I don't think it has anything to do with being very smart.
I don't know. That might be just a mistype from whoever does the transcript.
No, she said it. Yeah, she said it.
she said it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's one of those like you're singing a song.
Oh,
you
yeah,
think you
yeah,
know the
yeah.
lyrics
Saying
kind
the
of
wrong
thing,
words, yeah.
and then you finally you turn 30 and you
Yeah.
find out, oh, that's not what I heard.
Those weren't the lyrics to
Those
Rocket
weren't the
Man.
lyrics to Rocket Man.
And so anyway, she's like, oh, what the hell? She looks over and she sees Hank standing in the back of his truck. He is just gross and dirty.
Dirty as hell with
He's
a
got-
clipboard wrapped around his
He's
neck.
got the clipboard with the petition hanging around his neck, and he's got a big sign up that says "Boycott Arlen Video," and he's in their parking lot. He's trying to get this thing going. She stops, and one of the things that I really liked about this little scene is she stops and says something to Hank, and we are still in her car as the first sentence is uttered. It's kind of a cool move. It's almost like a real theatrical type thing where like they're on the outside of the car talking and we're still inside the car. But he says, Peggy, thank God you're here. And then we go outside the car.
Yeah.
And he says, hello, I'm Hank Hill, and I'd like you to sign my petition. I don't know why he's had to say, hello, I'm Hank Hill. She says, Hank Hill, I want you to get out of the car now before the whole town sees you. And she's talking about him being in the back of the truck. He says, no, I am not a quitter, and I don't rent pornography. She says, I'm begging you, Hank, pay the $40. We'll buy a new dryer, and we can finally change your underwear. Honey, it's the right
Ooh-wee.
thing to do.
Well, that's the thing I don't understand is like can they not exist without a dryer? Like I'm sure at their
Well, they can hang them up, but they can't.
That's what I'm saying. At their age, at
doesn't
this
want 'em.
point, this is the 90s.
Nah.
They were born in
Not
at least,
for
They were
Hank,
born in
though.
like the late 50s.
But what I'm saying is it's not the 90s for Hank. He still wants it to be 1957. you know?
I guess I'll level
So,
with it.
He
I'll
don't
level
want,
with
he
it.
don't want anybody to see his underwear.
I'll level with it. He does act like a man that is 5 times his age
He
at
does.
this point in the 90s.
He really does.
My dad in the 90s, actually early 2000s, I remember my dad going to the store in a pair of boxers, a robe, and flip-flops, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah. That's how he used to go. That was like his morning thing. He'd
Yeah.
put his robe on,
Yeah.
drive to the store, get his paper,
Huh.
and then drive back.
Well, there you go.
It was like 6 a.m. every morning.
I will tell you that my wife still tells the story of when I was house sitting for some folks in our neighborhood. And when I say house sitting, that just means I went over and checked their mail.
Oh, okay.
But,
I thought you were just walking around their house naked or something. They caught you.
No, it was super cold, and I didn't want to do anything, and so I just went out in my boxers and went over to their house and checked their mail.
Oh, just
and
ran
came
over there and
back.
back,
I was just,
yeah.
man, I don't care.
Yeah, I go outside in my boxers all the time. I really don't care
Yeah,
at all.
I
It's
don't.
just like wearing a pair of short,
I don't-
tight shorts.
I
I
just
mean,
don't give a rat's
yeah, I
ass.
don't really
It's
care.
fine. He says he's not going to do anything until he proves his innocence once and for all. He said, that's why I'm taking Arlen Video to small claims court, Peggy. I'm putting the whole system on trial. She says, you have not heard a word I've said. What do I have to do to get through to you?
do I have to take off my shirt and dance like the women in your movies?
I love that.
I don't rent those movies.
She
They
puts-
keep, yeah.
she- like when she says that, she puts her hands up and starts jiggling a
Jiggling
little
a
bit.
little bit, yeah.
Just man, like one of those girls in your movies. She says, Hank, if you want to keep up your silly little battle, then you go it alone. I am sorry. And this is one of the only times I can think of that Peggy just leaves him. He is left in that parking lot.
Well, it's not the only time. She yells and screams here in a minute.
Well, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is she leaves him in that parking lot.
By himself, yeah.
The guy locks the video store. He is the last one left.
Lone Ranger.
It's dark outside.
Well, you know,
and it's
it's-
just Arlen Video next door to a restaurant that is titled Restaurant.
Justice and principles are never easy battles.
It's true.
So he's out there fighting the good fight.
He is fighting a good fight.
You know, it reminds me of those benches. I haven't seen one in a really long time, but they used to have one by the McDonald's, and the bench said, if you struggle with pornography,
Yeah,
call this number.
I have seen those. Yeah,
You have seen those?
yeah. I think the bill was too high. They had to shut those phones down.
Yeah, the bill got a little high.
So next scene,
Or nobody was calling them.
Oh, that's true,
Or
too.
everybody was calling them and saying, the only problem I have with pornography is I don't know where to find the
can't
best
get
kind
enough.
of. Yeah.
Can't get enough. I need 1,000 butterflies. Now we're out in front of Now we're out in front of Hank's house. He is asleep in a chair next to the mailbox. He's holding a sign that says "Honk if you hate Arlen Video."
Okay.
The poor guy is just fighting this unwinnable battle. We see the other guys on the well, I wrote down in my notes, they are standing on the other side of a hedge just
Yeah.
watching him, right? My question is, are they standing in Khan's yard? They would have to be. Because there's a little hedge there, and they're standing on the other side just
Well,
looking
if you're
at him.
if you stand in the middle of the alley and face their backyard,
This is
Khan's
not
usually
the
always
alley,
on,
though.
oh, it's not, is it?
It's
They're in
not
the front,
alley,
right?
because he's sitting right next to the mailbox.
Well, if you're standing in the front yard, they'd be to the right.
so you're
right?
looking here, and the hedge is here, so it's got to be Khan's house. So they're literally
What direction
standing.
is Khan? Is Khan on his left?
So if you're looking at Hank's house, Khan is on the right hand side.
Well, because there's some episodes where it shows Dale on the right hand side too.
I thought Dale was on the left hand side.
Yeah, you're
if
probably
you're
right.
looking
Yeah.
at his house,
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
So,
And it might not even have continuity.
but either way, they're standing
Yeah.
in somebody's yard.
They might not even have
Right.
continuity from
That's
the
true,
direction
too.
they're standing in the yard
That's
to where everybody's
absolutely true.
house is located either.
But
So.
one car comes by, and it is John Redcorn, and he honks at him.
Dreammaker, heartbreaker, yeah. Listen to the
And-
hair metal pulling up, picking up
And
Nancy.
He picks up Nancy, and then he just kind of takes off as Hank raises his fist in solidarity. And John does not do it, and Dale just kind of giggles at him. And I just wrote down the word asshole because it is really crappy of Dale to just giggle at him or laugh out loud at him when this guy is going through this thing.
Laughing hard.
I mean, he's just like,
And it's his friend too. So.
Yeah.
Well,
But
you know, the joke's on him at the end of the day.
my
John
favorite,
Redcord's banging his wife.
That's true. My favorite part of this thing, though, is they show the guys standing across the hedge, and Bill says, "You know, it's sad, really. All he wanted was for his clothes to be dry." Dale says, "Yep." Boomhauer says, "Yep," and then it pans over, and it's Peggy standing next to Boomhauer with a beer, and she goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
That's a fantastic scene.
That is a good scene. I like that one.
So now we see another real theatrical type shot. It is we see the doormat that reads "The Hills" with a little house and then says "Welcome," so it's their welcome mat. And we see a shadow approach the door. They leave 4 videotapes that are tied together with a white note on top.
And we'll find out who this is here just real quick,
right.
too. Yeah.
But it's literally set down, and what you see is the person who sets it down has on white gloves also, so as to not touch it and leave any sort of prints. The 4 tapes that this person leaves are Cuffs and Collars, Jailbait, Hung Jury, and Illegal Entry. So those are your 4 tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby is the one who answers the door, and he comes running in and says, "Mom, look what Dad got me. There's Cuffs and Collars and
a whole bunch of other cop movies." Yeah.
He said, "Jailbait, Hung Jury."
How dare you try to expose my son to these police tapes that are so degrading to law enforcement officials.
Peggy's trying to cover it up any way she can. Bobby says, "Gotcha. It's a surprise. Don't worry. I didn't read the card."
That's another thing too that I guess I'll touch on real fast is women's empowerment. Like now, women are empowered to create their own, their own content and have complete control of it.
Absolutely.
To where nowadays you couldn't say it's degrading because it's them doing. They have control of it. Where back then the major porn companies had control of everything and they exploited people left and right. Now, like the power is in their hands, especially with like OnlyFans and all those other websites and stuff they've created.
If anybody knows any different here, you can tell us. But from what I understand, the only place that you can actually legally make porn is in California. And that's only porn that includes penetration.
Okay.
If you show penetration, I believe California is the only state you can make it in.
I don't know.
Now, Artie, I don't know if that's something you want to check.
I think there's some OnlyFans stars that would tell you differently.
Well, and there is a fine line there, but I'm saying production companies, I believe, get in trouble if they're
Hey, it's potential, yeah. Who knows?
So he says, "I didn't read the card," and that's when Hank opens the letter, and it is in a ransom note style. On the front of the letter, it says, "I believe you, Hank. The answer is in the tapes," and it's signed "A Friend." And it's all like it's separate letters cut out of a magazine.
That's a hell of a friend that just leaves 4 random porn tapes.
And then on the back of this same page, it says, "I need these back when you're done. A friend."
I need them back when you're done.
So now Hank is at his wit's end, if he's going to go watch these tapes and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, he is.
Because he's got to ingest this pornography. That's terrible. So you see him lock the door. You see him close the blinds. He unplugs the phone. And then you see a family picture of all 3 of them with Luann's head taped on it. And he puts that down. Then we see the VCR flashing 12 o'clock. And he starts watching the tapes. We hear, "You want me to frisk you? Did somebody call a plumber? What kind of cop are you? I'm a bad one."
I'm a bad one, yeah.
And
I'm a bad one.
The funny thing to me is it goes like it's trying to show time going by and him watching all these, but the VCR is flashing 12, so it just transitions to 12 again.
It just stays on 12. Or he was watching 12 hours worth of porn and it came all the way back around.
So at some point during the cop one, Peggy sticks her head in and she gasps and she
screams
is
at the top of her voice.
"Bobby, for the love of God, get out of the house!" And Bobby's just like, "Okay,
okay." His deadpan. Okay.
So next we're at Arlen Beauty Academy, and Bobby is in the chair and Luann's cutting his hair, and he says, "My mom told us to stay away for 3 hours. My birthday party must be today." She says, "Ooh, then I guess a haircut is free. I'm still supposed to charge you for the shampoo," which is a wonderful little aside.
That is pretty funny, yeah. That was a good joke, too.
We are back at Hank's house, and what I love about him sitting there watching those tapes is how all the lights are off, all the light is blue from the TV and stuff, and it's just pulsating at him. We hear more from the tapes. Like, "Here, let me hold that. Thanks, officer. Say, are you a mounted police? Not yet." And so, and Hank comes to a realization. He goes, "Wait a minute. That's it. That's it." And he starts laughing. "Yeah, that's it. That's it." And he takes a Polaroid of the TV, which I thought really, really encapsulated the times also. The next thing we see is we are at small claims court. We are focused on the state of Texas seal, and we hear the gavel banging.
Yep.
And the judge says, you are hereby ordered to pay damages in the amount of $1.50 and return the plaintiff's sunglasses.
And he pulls them out of his pocket and hands them to the guy sitting.
Well, it's a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He pulls them out of his pocket, hands it to a guy in a suit, and the guy goes,
suit.
yeah, and just walks off.
Those are my
That's it.
sunglasses,
That's the whole-
bitch.
That's the whole.
Yeah, let's go to claims court over some
And
sunglasses.
it's, well, $1.50 in the sunglasses. Judge says next case. Hank
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like he could really like beat up the guy in a wheelchair to take the guys.
I just thought
take
it
the
was-
sunglasses back. Yeah, to
it's
take him to
just
small
funny.
claims court.
Yeah. So now we get Hank Hill versus Arlen Video. Mr. Hill, you allege that you've been the target of systematic harassment at the hands of a major international computer conspiracy known as the Beast.
The Beast.
He says, that is correct, Your Honor. She says, Mr. Hill, why don't you just pay the $40? He said, because I did not rent the tape, and I can prove it.
This is hilarious. So his whole proving it scene right here.
It is
just-
good. But before we get to that, we are back at Hank's with Bobby and Luann. They are at the front door because they think that a surprise party is happening. Luann,
Yeah, it's pretty
Luann's
quiet.
like, it's pretty quiet. And Bobby's like, there's no
no
cars.
cars.
I wonder where the magician parked.
And it's funny that he assumes that they hired
Sure.
a magician.
And they open the door real quick and look for a party. There's
They're
nothing
like
there.
going to every room in the house.
go to
like,
every
boom,
room.
surprise. Oh,
He says,
there's
"Oh, it
nobody
must be in
there.
my bedroom."
Yeah.
So they go and look in his closet. The funniest part to me are the noises that they make. So like
all the little, all the little
Luann's like
squeals and
"Ee!"
shit. Yeah.
and Bobby's like, "Ooh," you know, it's fantastic. I love their noises. We're back in court, and we hear Hank cuffing collars. The tape I never rented. 68 minutes into the film, actress Dee Dee Cupp, great name, bends over to shoe her horse. Now, if you pause the tape and look closely, you can see a tattoo on Dee Dee's left buttock that reads, "I heart Charlie Sheen." And he holds up a Polaroid.
Okay, yeah, he holds up the Polaroid of the picture of the tattoo on the left buttock.
On
So
the
when he
TV.
was doing he was doing some mad research.
Yeah, he was.
And this is like in a time where he did non-digital porn research here.
Yeah, man, he was
This is
he was
before the
deep into
digital
it.
age.
I felt kind of like him.
I feel
as
like
I'm
it was a
making
lot
these
harder.
notes,
Yeah,
you
all
know,
the
it's
notes.
kinda-
Yeah,
it's kinda
you're making
like
all the
that.
notes about King of the Hill, and he was doing the same thing about cuffs, collars,
It
and all
was,
the
it
other
was
pornos.
very Inception-like for me.
Yeah, Inception.
He says Ms. Cupp also makes an uncredited cameo in Jailbait, a tape which marks veteran porn star Fernanda Valley, great name.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it's a play on San Fernando
Sure.
Valley, which used to pump out all the porn in the 70s and 80s.
He said Fernanda Valley's return to the adult film industry on the occasion of her 18th birthday, which is creepy. He says now at the 70-minute mark, Dee Dee bends over to shoe a donkey. What do we see on her left buttock? Nothing. There is no tattoo.
That's some wild pornography.
And he shows another
Shoeing a
Polaroid,
donkey.
right? Showing their donkey. He said this can only mean that Jailbait was made before Cuffs and Collars. Now, why is that important? Because Fernanda Valley turned 18 on July 5th.
Okay, hold on. So this either implies that this porno came out at a later date,
Yeah.
or it
Sure.
implies that it's underage porn.
Right. I think it's both.
Yeah,
Honestly,
both. Yeah.
It says this is 2 weeks after I supposedly rented Cuffs and Collars.
Oh,
and
wow.
everybody in the court, like it's such a big deal.
Yeah. Yikes.
He says, is it possible that I walked into Arlen Video on June 23rd and rented a movie that didn't even exist? I think not. Everybody cheers. The whole court just goes nuts.
A rule in favor of the plaintiff. Arlen Video is hereby ordered to remove the debt from its computer.
Everybody cheers.
Everybody's
and
cheering.
she says, and let the record show that Mr. Hank Hill really knows his pornography.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah.
He says, thank you, Your Honor. And then we go over to a shot of Bill, and he leaves a note that says, congratulations, a friend, and he picks up the tapes. So all along, Bill has been watching pornography.
Yep,
So
it's Bill. So we find out that Bill is actually, and see, this is one of the fan theories that came up, was that Bill is actually the one that used Hank's name to rent Cuffs and Collars.
oh, I don't doubt that.
But it's kind of trumped by the court case and them actually finding out of the dates of the movies and stuff like
Sure.
that. So like the fan theory was that if Bill did use Hank's name to rent it, then Bill actually rented porn that's with the underage
Sure.
star
That's
actress in
nutty.
it. So yeah, I was like, well, that's crazy. As far as fan fiction, fan
Yeah.
theories, I don't know. It seems like they're really sexually charged. I looked at a lot of fan fiction because I wanted to find one to discuss too, like we did for our Friday episode. But they're all like, there's a lot of extremely sexually charged fan fiction.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm gonna have to put on my big boy pants and
go on the dark web,
sift through some of that and try to find some good fan fiction.
Use your Tor browser to find some good fan
terrible.
fiction.
It's terrible. Yeah.
So he wins. He says, "Thank you, Your Honor." After she says he knows his pornography, Peggy comes running up, gives him a big hug, says, "Oh, you did it, Hank. You won. We can finally put this nightmare behind us." Hank says, "Oh no, this isn't over yet." Then they're back at Megalomart. The guy is tapping and beeping into the computer. And everybody is like, "Oh gosh, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen?" And he goes, "Approve, the dryer's yours." He turns the thing around
and it shows the smiley face again. Yeah, the whole redemption arc.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. They're back at home, and Luann and Bobby are just sitting on the front porch.
And he's upset. He's like,
he's
I
pissed.
can't believe they forgot my birthday.
She goes, "Oh, don't worry. They've still got a whole month to remember."
Because it's still
It's
3.5 weeks till his birthday.
Yeah. Everybody starts driving up. They're all honking their horns and cheering and stuff.
And then he's like, "God dang, Luann, you got me. You knew the whole time, didn't you?"
She's
and she's like, yeah.
He said, "I don't believe it. It's a dryer."
And all
Perfect.
they're doing is pulling up the dryer. And it's the dryer with the TV screen on it, so he could watch his clothes dry.
It's a dryer that looks like a TV show. And then one of the best things, and I did not catch this ever before
You
when I
didn't catch
watched this
him
before.
hugging the dryer, being excited about it? I caught this one.
He hugs it. He hugs the dryer. He's super happy about it. But then the black screen comes up. The credits come open. Or the credits come up, and then the porn music that's playing in the background is the King of the Hill theme.
It's the King of the Hill theme in a like, and then this is the best birthday ever, and then you hear a moan insinuating that Bobby eventually pops a tape in, and
oh come on,
you don't think so?
Bobby's not watching those tapes, man. Come on,
I don't know,
Peggy'd kill him.
I don't know. He's at puberty young man.
That's true.
And
That's true.
when I was at puberty young man, I was, digging through, parents' closet looking for tapes, and
we do hear
magazines.
Boomhauer in the background go, waka 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 waka. Now I'm going to do something for you that would impress kids in middle school. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to make a sound.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if this is good or not. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty close,
I like
right?
that. That's pretty close.
Okay. All right.
And then,
Thank you.
Bad Boys, what you want, what you want. That's what that reminds me of. Yeah, the beginning of the theme song for
the
Cops.
beginning of Cops. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That is Hank's Dirty Laundry. That was a good one.
Yeah, I like that
enjoyed it
episode.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, again, we thank y'all every week, but man, we really can't thank y'all enough. It's been like
you guys are really
week to
bringing
week,
it.
week to week for the last 3 or 4 weeks of metrics has just been crazy for us.
Yeah,
so
we're up great bill.
Yeah, we
good.
appreciate everybody that continues to support us by listening to us.
Thanks, guys.
And everything. And we hope that you like all the bonus episodes that you're getting on Fridays and the content that we're bringing.
Yeah,
we're just going to do whatever. We're just going to figure
try
it
some
out.
weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to figure it out and develop it into something. And we've officially dubbed it That Ain't Right segment. So that's what that's going to be called. Is our Friday episode is going to be called That Ain't Right.
And the thing is, I mean, if you don't like one of the things we do, hang around. We'll do a different thing the next Friday.
Yeah, and with the fan fiction thing, we did get a little bit of feedback on it, and some people liked it, some people didn't, and even the people that didn't like it liked it. So I mean, they didn't necessarily like the story, but they liked us exploring.
The story's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. But they like the fact that we were exploring different things.
That's good.
And I want to go ahead
that time
and
in our life we're exploring our bodies.
Yeah, it's that time. So also what I've started doing, I did it last week and I'm doing it this week too. So everybody that's listening, you will find our Monday episode every time we record, because we record both our episodes on Saturdays, every Saturday. And I will make an attempt to always have our episodic content like you just heard. I tend to do that on Twitter Spaces. So if you really want to listen to us live and listen to us as we're actually recording an episode, so you can hear it twice with all the hums, haws, coughs, all the farts, everything.
Farts, burps, and giggles.
So, you could find us there. And then on the Friday episode, I'm going to be on Instagram Live. So you get 2 chances to watch us record on 2 different spaces. And this is just experimentation. We're just seeing what's out there and trying to spread the love of King of Hill and our passion for King of the Hill. So
yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think that we've got some cool stuff in store As we find the things that you like, just let us know.
Yeah, and again, Artie, appreciate you for the fact checks, man.
Absolutely, man. The basis of this show will always be a rewatch podcast, though, and we will go episode by episode. Next week, we are on to season 2, episode 18.
18.
I don't know what it's called. But
I don't either, but
we'll-
we're getting close to the end of the season.
Yeah, I know.
18, 19, 20,
I
21,
think it's
22,
22,
4 weeks.
right? Yeah.
4 more episodes.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. And then
One more month of season 2, guys. I think we're season 3.
Yeah. Well, you want to tell us where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and it's at BWAAA. That's 3 A's, BWAAAKOTH.
Yep,
And
yep.
you can also find us at RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for all the support. And Rusty, it was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, see you.
Win Matanye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.